Okay, I'm back for part 2 of the Pong tutorial, and now we're gonna add um, basic motion, I think. So to do that, there are a couple things that need to move. I think the easiest thing that needs to move is the paddle. So let's do that first. So the way that the paddle is going to move is the user or the computer is going to set a goal y that they want to go to, and then the paddle is going to seek that at some specified velocity. So first let's specify that velocity. Paddle vel or speed maybe, because it's not a vector. It's kind of, there's no units on that, but that's what I'm gonna say it is. And then let's pass that in as an extra argument here, and then store that. These guys now are getting a speed, and we need to store that. I guess it's really like a max speed, because maybe they could be 0, but I think they're usually going to be moving, so I don't feel bad about calling it its speed. And then there's going to be a new variable called this.y goal, which is the y that's seeking. And then this is going to start off as y pause start, but obviously they're going to change it. And then I guess we need two real functions. We need set y goal, which should take in a y goal and just pretty simple stuff. Set this.y goal equal to y goal. And so the user and the, so actually, yeah, now let me take care of that. So the user, actually let me comment this a tiny bit. There's going to be a render section of the code, and then there's going to be a update, that's part 2, and then there's going to be, in the final part, a collision detection, and I forgot to start my timer again, so let's do that. Okay. Sorry about my annoying Vim thing. And then update is what we're doing right now. So we want, how are we going to determine what the left paddle should set its goal to? Set y goal. So this is going to be determined by the mouse. There's other ways you could do it. You could use the keyboard or something, but this is how I'm going to do it. And then the computer is going to set its y goal to the ball's center y. And yes, this is not really encapsulation, but it's okay. So yeah, anyway, so that's how they're going to set their goals. And then what are they going to do with the goals? We need a function called update. That's why we have this in here. So we're going to call update, but then what does update do? And actually also, yeah, first let's talk about what update does. So update is going to say, let's make a variable called dy, which is equal to this.y goal minus this.y position, I believe. Yes, position, cool. And then we're gonna, if dy is not equal to 0, because if they're the same, then we don't want to move, but otherwise we do. Then what we do is we say we want to set dy to be the speed, which is this dot speed, over the absolute value of dy. So this just makes sure that it has the right position. So if y goal is bigger than y pause, then this number is positive and it'll move down, but the magnitude of dy is always speed. So we have a vector that represents what direction we want to go. So then we say, great, let's update position by delta y times the time step. And okay, the time step, how do we get the time step? That's a little bit of work, but not that much work. So we're just going to create a variable called dt, which is going to store the time step, and then we need another variable called last time. So basically, there's a function called date.now, which gets the number of, I think, milliseconds, so I'm going to divide it by 1,000, elapsed since some date a long time ago. So we're going to use that. We're going to say dt is equal to the current time minus the last time. And yeah, I think that looks right. And then we're gonna say last time plus equals dt. That looks pretty good. And then we can just feed these guys dt. So now I'm interested if this actually works. I have a suspicion there's gonna be an error for some reason, but okay, so one of them at least actually, this one looks very reasonable. As you can see my mouse, it is tracking my mouse. The other one seems to have disappeared. I'm not sure why. Let's see if this is the problem though. So yeah, that's the problem. So update is not doing so well for this guy. So my guess is that his Y goal is not well defined, and that's because ball.y is not a thing. So that's a pretty easy error to catch. I think it's ball.pause of 1 because it's a vector for him. So yeah, now as you can see, he seeks the ball's position. If we could change the ball's position to up there, and then he goes up to seek it, and then this one follows the mouse. So that's awesome. And then that's not the only thing we need to update though. The other thing we need to update is the ball. That'll be the last thing I do in this video, but let's see. So basically, we're going to need a very similar update function. Probably need to pass dt to it. Definitely need to pass dt to it. And it's just pretty simple stuff. Just add, like, velocity is the rate of change of position. Those are our best approximations. So that should do it for the update for the ball. And then we just call ball.update of dt. Ball obviously isn't moving, but if we set its velocity to a number, then oh look, it moves. Great. So probably I'm going to make a little function now that will start the ball off at a certain certain velocity. I'm going to call it start round. So at the start of every round, what we want to do is we want to set the ball's position. I don't know if that's actually a function. It's not, but it needs to be a function. So it's going to take an x pause and a y pause and set this dot pause of 0 equals x pause, this dot pause of 1 equals y pause. Okay, lovely. And then we need to set its position to the middle of the screen. And we need to set its speed. And to set its speed, well, first of all, I'll just say should probably make a function, but it's the same as this, so except for this needs to be val now. So I will just do that really fast. Yes, cool. And dang it. Okay, so that's set val. But what do we want to set it to? So let's make a little variable called velocity, and we will generate it. So you know what, it's kind of arbitrary, so how about I just say, I'll just hard code in some numbers, like, we'll give it an x component of 300, y component of 100, maybe even a little bit less than that, 50, and then we'll randomly decide what direction, like whether these are positive or negative. Math.random is a random number between 0 and 1, so then half the time we'll set it to go towards one of the users, other half the time it goes towards the other user. We'll copy this and say half the time it'll be going up, half the time it'll be going down, and then we just say ball.set vel to velocity of 0, velocity of 1, and I never call that function, so let's call that at the very beginning. What's it called? Start round. And then we're obviously also going to call that whenever a point is scored, but collision detection is for the next video, and that is what I will do, so see you then.